Welcome back to BK Collectibles. If you love rare American coins, fascinating mint history, and the thrill of finding treasures in the most unexpected places, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Today, we're going back in time to uncover the story of one of the smallest and lightest silver coins ever produced by the United States Mint, the 3-cent silver piece. This tiny coin, often overlooked and misunderstood, holds a significant place in the evolution of American coinage. And along the way, we'll tie it into other well-known coins, placing the 3-cent silver in its rightful context among American numismatic treasures. The 3-cent silver, sometimes affectionately referred to as a trime by collectors, made its debut in the early 19th century and remained in circulation for just over 2 decades. Yet in that short span, it witnessed monumental changes in American economic history, technological innovation, and even wartime finance. So let's travel back to the early 1850s. By this time, the United States was expanding rapidly, westward, industrially, and demographically. The gold rush was in full swing, postage rates had just been reduced, and the country was growing more connected through railways and communication lines. Against this backdrop, a curious issue had taken hold of American commerce: the shortage of small-denomination coins. Specifically, silver coins were being hoarded or melted down due to their intrinsic metal value exceeding their face value. This created real headaches for merchants, postal clerks, and everyday citizens trying to make change for small transactions. Enter the 3-cent silver, first authorized by Congress in the Coinage Act of 1851. This act had 2 major goals. First, to provide a practical solution for paying the newly reduced 3-cent postage rate. And second, to introduce a coin whose silver content was intentionally lower than its face value to deter hoarding and melting. The coin's silver purity was set at 75%, significantly less than the 90% standard used in coins like the seated Liberty dime or seated Liberty quarter. The first year of production was 1851, and the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. It had a diameter of just 14 millimeters, making it the smallest coin ever produced by the United States Mint in terms of diameter. In weight, it tipped the scale at only 0.8 grams. It was tiny, lightweight, and easy to lose, but it was also instantly recognizable thanks to its unusual design. The obverse of the original 3-cent silver featured a 6-pointed star with the Union shield in the center. The reverse displayed a stylized C, enclosing the Roman numeral 3. The use of symbolic imagery, like the star, and the shield was intended to evoke a sense of national unity, particularly important in the years leading up to the Civil War. As simple as it was, the design proved problematic over time. The small size of the coin made it difficult to handle and easy to confuse with other coins, or even lose altogether. Furthermore, the thin planchets led to weak strikes, and many coins came out of the mint with poor detail. These early issues are now categorized as Type 1 3-cent silver pieces. By 1854, the silver content was raised back to 90% to align it with the rest of the circulating silver coinage. Along with this change, the coin underwent a redesign to improve striking quality and visual appeal. This marked the beginning of Type 2 3-cent silver coins, which featured a modified obverse with a triple-bordered star and a more detailed shield. On the reverse, the numeral 3 was given additional ornamentation. This type was only produced for 2 years, 1854 and 1855, and is considered scarcer today due to its limited run and relatively low mintage numbers. The final iteration, known as Type 3, began in 1859 and continued until the coin's final year of mintage in 1873. The changes for this type were minor but notable. The star was enlarged and given a single border, and the lettering and numerals were sharpened. These coins tend to have better strikes than their predecessors and are generally easier to find in higher grades. During its lifespan, the 3-cent silver was produced intermittently, with certain years seeing little to no mintage due to low demand or changes in mint priorities. By the end of the Civil War, the coin had largely outlived its usefulness. Paper fractional currency and the newer 3-cent nickel, introduced in 1865, were quickly taking its place in commerce. The 3-cent nickel had several advantages. It was larger, easier to handle, and not prone to hoarding since it contained no silver. The Coinage Act of 1873, often referred to as the Crime of 73 by silver advocates, officially ended production of the 3-cent silver. That same legislation also discontinued the 2-cent piece, half-dime, and silver dollar, while introducing the trade dollar to facilitate commerce with East Asia. Collectors today look at the 3-cent silver as a unique artifact of its time. Its small size, short lifespan, and unusual denominations make it a fascinating addition to any American coin collection. Key dates for collectors include the 1851, the only New Orleans mint issue for this coin. It's the only time the 3-cent silver was produced outside Philadelphia, and it's distinguishable by the small O mint mark on the reverse. Another standout is the 1855 coin, especially in high grade, due to its low mintage and the weak strikes common to Type II coins. Now, let's talk about how the 3-cent silver fits into the broader landscape of American coinage. While it may not have the iconic status of the Morgan dollar, the Walking Liberty half dollar, or the Buffalo nickel, it remains a critical puzzle piece in the story of how the United States adapted its coinage to meet the needs of a growing nation. Compare the 3-cent silver to the seated Liberty half-dime, which circulated during roughly the same period. Both were small denomination silver coins designed for everyday use. However, the half-dime was slightly larger and heavier, making it a bit more practical in commerce. The 3-cent silver, by contrast, had a specific use case, postage, and once that need faded, so did the coin itself. Likewise, the 3-cent silver offers an interesting contrast with the 3-cent nickel. The silver version was created in a time of monetary conservatism, when the intrinsic value of coins mattered deeply. By the time the nickel version came along, the United States was moving toward fiduciary coinage, where the value of the coin was backed not by the metal it contained, but by the authority of the government. The switch from silver to nickel in the same denomination tells a broader story about evolving trust in the financial system and the practicalities of running a modern economy. From a design standpoint, the 3-cent silver is often seen as a minimalist coin. It lacked the artistic flourishes found on later coins like the Mercury dime or the standing Liberty quarter. But there's a certain elegance in its simplicity, a design meant for mass utility, not gallery display. And that's part of its charm. It was a coin made for people to use to touch, to carry in their pockets and use to mail letters or buy a small treat. For collectors today, the 3-cent silver offers several entry points. Type I coins are the most common, especially those dated 1851 and 1852, making them accessible to beginners. Type II and Type III coins are harder to find in high grade, but add rich diversity to any collection. Proof versions exist as well, particularly from the later years, and these can be real showpieces if you're building a premium set. As with all collectible coins, condition matters. Many 3-cent silver coins exhibit weak strikes or heavy wear, so finding one with sharp detail and strong luster can be a rewarding challenge. Look for full shield lines and a clear outline of the star. On the reverse, the numeral 3 should be distinct, with minimal wear on the inner scrollwork. And while the 3-cent silver may not command the same attention or high auction prices as a 1909's VDB Lincoln cent or an 1893's Morgan dollar, it holds a special place in American coinage history. It tells the story of a nation experimenting with its money, balancing the tension between intrinsic metal value and practical need, and responding to rapid technological change in everyday life. It also serves as a reminder that coin collecting isn't just about big-ticket rarities. It's about context, history, and understanding, how even the smallest coin can reflect the values, challenges, and ambitions of its time. The 3-cent silver is a window into an era when a single coin could represent innovation, adaptation, and national purpose, all in just 14 millimeters of silver. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, don't overlook the humble 3-cent silver. It's a coin that may be small in size, but it carries a big story, and one that deserves a place in any well-rounded American coin collection. We're exploring one of the most overlooked and intriguing coins ever produced by the United States Mint, The 2-cent piece. This small but mighty coin had a brief life, minted from 1864 to 1873, but its impact on American coinage is much larger than its short run might suggest. The 2-cent piece holds the special distinction of being the first coin in the United States to bear the motto "In God We Trust." Introduced during the height of the Civil War, the coin was part of a broader effort to address both economic and emotional concerns gripping the nation. At the time, gold and silver coins were being hoarded by the public, and the government needed practical solutions to keep commerce running. The 2-cent piece, made of bronze, was introduced as a way to offer a small denomination coin with real value. Unlike the unpopular and widely counterfeited fractional paper currency circulating during the war. Designed by James B. Longacre, the 2-cent piece features a shield on the obverse, flanked by laurel branches, with the motto "In God We Trust" prominently displayed above. The reverse showcases a simple yet bold wreath surrounding the denomination, 2 cents. This combination of strong symbolism and clear utility helped the coin quickly gain public acceptance in its early years. The very first year of mintage, 1864, saw the highest production numbers, with over 19 million coins struck. These are commonly found in circulated condition today, and collectors often seek them out as a starting point for a 2-cent piece collection. However, there's an important distinction to be made with the 1864 issues. There are two varieties, the small motto and the large motto. The small motto variety is scarcer and more desirable among collectors. The key difference lies in the size and spacing of the inscription, "In God We Trust." On the small motto, the letters appear more cramped and less prominent, while the large motto has broader, more evenly spaced lettering. From 1865 onward, mintage numbers steadily declined. As the Civil War ended and economic conditions began to stabilize, public reliance on the 2-cent piece began to wane. By 1870, mintages had dropped below 1 million. In fact, the 1872 and 1873 issues were produced in such limited numbers that they were only available in proof format. The final year, 1873, marked the end of the 2-cent piece era, as the denomination was officially discontinued with the Coinage Act of that same year. One reason for the coin's decline was the growing popularity of other small denomination coins. The nickel 3-cent piece and later, the 5-cent nickel, introduced in 1866, were more practical in commerce, and soon overtook the 2-cent piece in daily use. As a result, the 2-cent piece became obsolete, both economically and culturally. However, that hasn't stopped it from being a favorite among collectors and historians alike. What makes the 2-cent piece particularly exciting for collectors today is not just its short lifespan, but the variety of interesting and accessible coins available within the series. As mentioned earlier, the 1864 small motto is a key coin. In higher grades, it commands a significant premium due to its rarity. The 1872 proof is also a standout coin, with fewer than 1,000 pieces believed to exist today. These are true gems for any advanced collector. Another fascinating aspect of 2-cent pieces is their role in the evolution of American coin design and motto placement. The introduction of "In God We Trust" on the 2-cent piece was so well received that the motto was later added to other denominations, including the nickel, quarter, and half dollar, eventually becoming a standard part of American coinage. So while the 2-cent piece itself may have disappeared, its legacy lives on in nearly every coin we use today. If you're thinking about collecting 2-cent pieces, the good news is that many of the coins are relatively affordable, especially in lower grades. The 1864 large motto is widely available and a great place to start. Intermediate collectors might go after complete date sets from 1864 through 1871. And for those looking to build a truly elite collection, hunting for high-grade proofs and varieties like the 1867 doubled die obverse can be a rewarding challenge. When evaluating 2-cent pieces, condition matters greatly. Many of these coins saw heavy circulation, so examples in fine or very fine condition are quite common. However, finding specimens in extremely fine or uncirculated grades can be much more difficult and valuable. Look closely for sharp details in the shield and wreath, and check the motto for clarity. Luster and surface quality also play a big role in determining the coin's appeal and market value. As with any coin series, beware of cleaned or damaged coins. The bronze composition of the 2-cent piece can develop rich, attractive toning over time, but it can also suffer from corrosion or discoloration if not stored properly. Original surfaces with natural patina are always more desirable than coins that have been artificially altered. The 2-cent piece may not be the most famous coin in American history, but it has certainly earned its place as one of the most meaningful. It bridged a gap during a troubled time, introduced a motto that still resonates today, and gave collectors a small yet fascinating window into the Civil War era of the United States. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just getting started, the 2-cent piece offers a rewarding and historically rich collecting experience. We're focusing on one of the most short-lived and unusual coins in United States history, the 20-cent piece. Although it was only minted for a few short years in the late 19th century, the 20-cent piece has gained legendary status among collectors for its unique story, design confusion, and extreme rarity in certain years. This coin may not be as well known as the Morgan dollar or the Buffalo nickel, but it absolutely deserves a place in the spotlight. Let's begin by placing the 20-cent piece in historical context. In the early to mid-19th century, coinage in the United States was rapidly evolving to meet the needs of a growing and increasingly mobile population. Silver coins were essential in everyday commerce. Dimes, quarters, and half-dollars circulated widely, and people used them daily for food, services, and transportation. But in the western states, especially in places like California and Nevada, there was a persistent problem with small change. Merchants and customers alike often found it inconvenient to make exact change using dimes and quarters alone, particularly when prices were not neatly divisible by 5 or 10 cents. This situation led to frustration and calls for a coin that could bridge the gap between the dime and the quarter. Enter the 20-cent piece. Advocates for a new denomination argued that it would simplify transactions and reduce the number of coins needed for change. The United States Congress agreed, and the Coinage Act of 1875 authorized the creation of the 20-cent coin. Almost immediately, though, problems began to emerge. The most significant issue was that the 20-cent piece looked almost identical to the quarter. Both coins were nearly the same size, just 2 millimeters difference in diameter, and both featured a similar obverse design. Lady Liberty seated, facing left. To make matters worse, both coins had reeded edges, which made them even more difficult to tell apart by feel alone. The reverse design of the 20-cent piece was different. It featured an eagle that was distinct from the one on the quarter, but this was hardly enough to prevent confusion in everyday transactions. People often mistook one for the other, leading to overpayment or disputes at the point of sale. As a result, the 20-cent piece was met with public resistance almost from the moment it entered circulation. Many people simply refused to use it. In hindsight, it's clear that the coin's similarity to the quarter was a major design flaw, and it ultimately sealed the 20-cent piece's fate. Despite these challenges, the 20-cent piece is a fascinating coin with a lot to offer collectors. Let's take a closer look at the key years and mint marks in the short-lived series. The first year of issue was 1875, and coins were produced at 3 mints: Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Carson City. The 1875 Philadelphia 20-cent piece, it's relatively easy to find today in circulated grades, though high-grade uncirculated examples are much scarcer. The 1875 San Francisco 20-cent piece had a mintage of just over 1.1 million, and like its Philadelphia counterpart, it is accessible to collectors in lower grades, but becomes significantly more valuable in higher mint state condition. Now let's talk about one of the standout coins in the series, the 1875 Carson City 20-cent piece. With a mintage of only 133,900 coins, this issue is significantly scarcer than its San Francisco counterparts. But what really makes it appealing is the Carson City mint mark. Coins from the Carson City mint are always popular with collectors due to the mint's connection to the Old West and the silver mines of Nevada. The 1875 Carson City 20-cent piece has strong demand across all grades, and high-grade examples command a premium. It's not quite a key date, but it's certainly a coin to watch. Moving to the following year, 1876, things started to go downhill for the 20-cent piece. Public dissatisfaction with the coin was mounting, and demand was rapidly falling. As a result, the United States Mint dramatically reduced production. The 1876 Carson City 20-cent piece is one of the most sought-after coins in the entire series, with a reported mintage of just 10,000 coins. However, most of those coins were melted down later due to poor public reception and low usage. It's estimated that only a few thousand survived, making it a true semi-key date. Finding one in uncirculated condition is a major achievement for any collector. After 1876, the 20-cent piece was essentially finished. No coins were struck for circulation in 1877 or 1878. The Mint did produce proof coins in both years, but in very small quantities, just 350 in 1877 and 600 in 1878. These proof issues are rare and desirable. They are a crucial part of completing a full 20-cent piece collection. Now let's take a closer look at the coin's design. The obverse features the familiar image of Liberty seated on a rock, holding a liberty pole topped with a cap. Her right hand rests on a shield, symbolizing defense. 13 stars encircle the image, representing the original colonies. This design, originally created by Christian Gobrecht, had been used on other coins such as the seated Liberty dime, quarter, and half-dollar. The reverse of the 20-cent piece shows an eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch. Unlike other silver coins of the time, which displayed the denomination as 1 dime, quarter dollar, or half-dollar, the 20-cent piece spelled out the full value as 20 cents, a subtle but important distinction. Interestingly, the reverse design used on the 20-cent piece was unique to this coin. It was not shared with any other denomination, and it gave the coin a distinctive character, even though that wasn't enough to overcome its practical shortcomings. The eagle on the reverse was designed by William Barber, who also worked on several other coinage designs in the late 19th century. Let's take a moment now to explore how the 20-cent piece compares to other well-known coins from the same era. For example, the seated Liberty quarter was the coin most frequently confused with the 20-cent piece. It had a similar diameter, the same obverse design, and the same reeded edge. It's easy to see why merchants and customers would get the two mixed up, especially in fast-paced transactions. The seated Liberty half-dollar was another contemporary silver coin, much larger in size and less likely to be confused. Meanwhile, the trade dollar, introduced in the same year as the 20-cent piece, was designed for use in Asia and had its own challenges with weight and acceptance. The Morgan dollar, which would debut in 1878, was a bold redesign that re-energized silver dollar coinage and helped phase out older designs. From a collector's perspective, the 20-cent piece is appealing because of its brevity. With just a handful of dates and mint marks to collect, it's one of the few United States coin series that can be realistically completed, even if some of the dates are difficult to obtain. A complete set includes circulation strikes from 1875 and 1876, and proof issues from 1875 through 1878. Another interesting aspect of the 20-cent piece is its legacy. Even though it failed as a circulating coin, it paved the way for future discussions about coin usability, public familiarity, and the importance of distinguishing between denominations. Lessons learned from the 20-cent piece influenced later decisions about coin design, such as the introduction of the Buffalo nickel, the Mercury dime, and even modern commemoratives. Designers became more aware of the need for visual and tactile differences between coins of similar size. The 20-cent piece is also notable for being one of the few denominations in United States history that was completely discontinued, never to return in regular circulation. So, is the 20-cent piece worth collecting? Absolutely. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting your journey in coin collecting, this coin offers a unique blend of historical significance, rarity, and design interest. It connects to a specific moment in United States monetary history, and its failure tells us just as much about coinage as the success stories do. Holding a 20-cent piece in your hand is like holding a time capsule from the silver mining boom of the American West, the post-Civil War era, and a time of experimentation at the United States Mint. And don't forget, the coin's small production numbers make it especially appealing to collectors who enjoy scarcity. Many 20-cent pieces were melted down, lost, or damaged over time, so finding well-preserved examples is a challenge. Slabbed and graded coins from reputable third-party services like PCGS or NGC help ensure authenticity and preserve value. For those seeking investment potential, the 1876 proof, the 1876 Carson City, and the 1878 proof are particularly promising. To wrap up, the 20-cent piece may be an oddity in United States coinage, but it's far from insignificant. It represents a moment of change, a well-intentioned but ultimately flawed solution to a real economic problem. Its short run, unique design, and numismatic mystique make it a must-know coin for any American coin collector. Whether you add one to your collection or simply appreciate its story, the 20-cent piece reminds us that every coin has a tale to tell, even the ones that didn't quite work out. We're diving into one of the most unique and intriguing coins ever struck by the United States Mint, the trade dollar. The trade dollar is not your average silver dollar. Its story begins in the mid-19th century and is intertwined with global trade, particularly with China and the Far East. This coin was minted specifically for international commerce, making it one of the few United States coins designed primarily for overseas use. Its journey is filled with political maneuvering, economic strategy, and of course, numismatic beauty. Let's set the stage. In the mid-1800s, silver was flowing out of the United States due to trade with Asia, especially China. Chinese merchants preferred silver over gold and were particularly fond of the large silver coins from other nations, such as the Mexican 8 reals, which circulated widely and were trusted in the Chinese economy. The United States seeded Liberty dollar, though a fine coin, did not enjoy the same level of acceptance in these markets. Its weight and silver content were slightly different from the 8 reals, and that discrepancy made a big difference in trade negotiations. So, in response to this economic challenge, the United States Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1873, authorizing the creation of the trade dollar. This new coin was designed with a higher silver content and a heavier weight than the existing seeded Liberty dollar, making it more competitive with the 8 reals and the Japanese yen in Asian markets. The trade dollar weighed 420.6 grains and was made of 90% silver and 10% copper. That made it slightly heavier than other silver dollars of the time. This weight increase was intentional, giving the coin a better chance of being accepted overseas. It featured an elegant design by William Barber, the 5th chief engraver of the United States Mint. On the obverse of the trade dollar, you'll find Lady Liberty seated facing left, holding an olive branch in her right hand while her left rests on a bundle of wheat. She's perched on a bale of merchandise, symbolizing trade, and the ocean waves lap at her feet. The reverse shows a bald eagle with wings spread, holding arrows and an olive branch. Notably, the reverse also includes the inscription 420 grains, 900 fine, highlighting the coin's silver content, a unique addition that reinforced its commercial value. The coins were produced at several United States mints, including Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Carson City. Each mint placed its respective mint mark on the reverse below the eagle. Now let's talk about some key dates and varieties that make trade dollars especially exciting for collectors. One of the most desirable coins in the series is the 1878 Carson City trade dollar. With a low mintage of just under 13,000 pieces, this coin is incredibly rare and valuable today. The Carson City mint mark, combined with the limited run, makes it a must-have for serious collectors. Another key coin is the 1884 trade dollar. Only 10 of these are known to exist, making it one of the rarest of all United States coins. This was a proof-only issue, struck years after the series had ended for circulation. These coins were not authorized for general release and were likely struck for collectors or dignitaries. Today, they command astronomical prices at auction. Similarly, the 1885 trade dollar is equally rare, with only 5 known examples. Like the 1884, this was also a proof-only strike and not intended for general circulation. When one of these appears at a major coin auction, it's a significant event in the numismatic world. Another standout year is 1876, the centennial of the United States. Several varieties exist for this year, including the 1876 Philadelphia trade dollar with a Type 1 reverse and a Type 2 reverse. The differences between these reverses lie in the details of the eagle's feathers and the positioning of the arrowheads. Spotting these varieties can be a fun and rewarding challenge for collectors. But despite the coin's beauty and international intentions, the trade dollar had a complicated relationship with American commerce. While the coins were successful in Asia, particularly in China where they circulated for decades, they became problematic domestically. Here, why? When silver prices began to fall in the late 1870s, the intrinsic value of the trade dollar dipped below its face value. Yet these coins were still legal tender in the United States up to $5. Employers and businesses started using them to pay workers and settle debts, effectively offloading a coin that was worth less in silver than its $1 face value. This understandably upset a lot of Americans. To combat the issue, Congress revoked the trade dollar's legal tender status in 1876. From that point forward, trade dollars were no longer acceptable for payment of debts in the United States. This further damaged their reputation among the public, and many coins were either hoarded or melted down. In an effort to resolve the confusion and public dissatisfaction, the United States Mint began striking trade dollars only as proofs starting in 1879. These were intended solely for collectors, not for circulation, and production numbers dropped significantly. Between 1879 and 1883, these proof issues were minted in very limited quantities, often fewer than 2,000 coins per year. These proof coins are stunning, with deeply mirrored fields and crisp strikes, making them highly sought after today. Let's now take a moment to appreciate how the trade dollar fits within the broader context of American coinage. It sits chronologically between two other well-known silver dollars, the seated Liberty dollar, last struck in 1873, and the Morgan dollar, first introduced in 1878. While both of those coins were primarily intended for use within the United States, the trade dollar was America's bold attempt to create a coin specifically for international commerce. That alone makes it unique. Even more interesting is how the trade dollar influenced later United States coinage. Its design and commercial purpose foreshadowed the emergence of coins that catered to both artistic appeal and practical use. It also paved the way for the development of special collector-only issues, a trend that continues today with proof sets, commemorative coins, and limited editions. Collectors today are especially interested in trade dollars with chop marks, those small characters punched into the coin by Chinese merchants to verify authenticity. While many collectors once viewed chop-marked coins as damaged, there's growing appreciation for the historical value these marks represent. Each chop mark tells a story, a journey across the seas, a transaction between cultures, and a moment frozen in time. Now, let's highlight a few more notable examples within the series. The 1875 San Francisco trade dollar is notable for its relatively high mintage. Over 4 million coins were struck. While not particularly rare in circulated condition, finding one in mint state is a much greater challenge. High-grade examples with full luster and minimal marks are valuable, especially with good provenance. Another coin that garners attention is the 1873 Carson City trade dollar. With a mintage under 120,000, this is one of the scarcer Carson City issues. The Carson City Mint, with its ties to the Comstock Lode and Old West history, always adds an extra layer of appeal for collectors. The 1874 Philadelphia trade dollar is an excellent example for type collectors looking for a proof strike. Over 700 proof examples were struck that year, and many survive in pristine condition, making them ideal for collectors who want a visually stunning coin with historical depth. Let's also not forget the 1878 Philadelphia trade dollar, one of the final circulation issues. Only 90,000 were struck, and most of them went overseas. Today, these are rare in high grades and often feature interesting toning from their time abroad. One area that new collectors should be cautious about is counterfeit trade dollars. Because of their popularity and the fact that many were circulated in foreign markets, numerous fakes have entered the marketplace. Some were made in Asia during the 19th century to pass as real coins, while others are modern reproductions meant to deceive collectors. If you're looking to add a trade dollar to your collection, especially a high-value example like the 1884 or 1885, always buy from reputable dealers and consider third-party grading. Speaking of grading, condition plays a huge role in determining value. Circulated trade dollars with heavy wear might only be worth their silver content, while high-grade mint state coins or proofs can fetch thousands of dollars. Key things to look for include strike sharpness, surface quality, luster, and originality. Coins that have been cleaned or altered lose significant value, so always go for originality whenever possible. For modern collectors, the appeal of the trade dollar lies in its distinctive purpose and limited run. It's a short series, making it achievable to complete, yet challenging enough to keep you engaged. Whether you're collecting by date, mint mark, condition, or variety, there's plenty to discover. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting your collection, the trade dollar is a fascinating and worthwhile addition. It captures a unique moment in United States history, a time of expansion, innovation, and international trade. Each coin carries with it not just silver, but stories. Stories of sailors and merchants, of East meeting West, and of the evolving role of the United States in the global economy. We are diving into one of the most mysterious and controversial coins in American numismatics, the 1964 D peace dollar. This coin, shrouded in secrecy and controversy, was authorized for production, struck, and then nearly every single one was destroyed. At least, that's what we've been told. What makes the 1964 D peace dollar such an enigma? Why was it ever minted in the first place, and could any examples have survived? In today's video, we're going to explore the story behind this coin, its connection to other iconic coins, and how it continues to captivate collectors and historians alike. To understand the 1964 D peace dollar, we need to first look at the history of the peace dollar series. The peace dollar was introduced in the wake of the First World War and was meant to symbolize peace. It was minted from 1921 to 1928, and then again in 1934 and 1935. The design by Anthony de Francisci features the goddess Liberty on the obverse and a perched bald eagle on the reverse, with the word peace inscribed below. It's a stunning design and a favorite among collectors. The 1921 peace dollar, with its high relief, is particularly admired. So why bring it back in 1964, nearly 30 years after the last one was struck? The answer lies in the economic and political context of the time. In the early 1960s, the United States was experiencing a severe coin shortage, driven in part by the rising price of silver and hoarding of silver coins by the public. Coin-operated machines were everywhere, and the demand for change had surged. In 1964, Congress authorized the production of silver dollars to meet this demand. The Coinage Act of 1964 permitted the striking of peace dollars, with a maximum limit of 45 million coins. These coins were to be struck at the Denver Mint, hence the D mint mark. Production of the 1964 D peace dollar began in May of 1965, even though the coins bore the date 1964. It's believed that over 300,000 coins were struck. However, controversy erupted almost immediately. The public was suspicious. Why mint silver dollars now, especially when silver was being phased out of other denominations? Accusations began to fly that the coins were being produced solely for the benefit of collectors and insiders, rather than for legitimate circulation needs. Under mounting pressure, the government made a decision that would give birth to one of the greatest mysteries in coin collecting. They ordered the entire mintage to be melted down. According to official records, every single 1964 D peace dollar was destroyed before any were released to the public. The mint insisted that not one had escaped destruction. But here, where the mystery takes on a life of its own. Rumors have persisted for decades that at least a few coins survived. Stories have circulated among collectors and dealers of individuals, claiming to have seen or even held a 1964D peace dollar. The government, for its part, has stated clearly, any surviving coin would be considered illegal to own and subject to confiscation. This has only added fuel to the fire, turning the 1964D peace dollar into a legend. Let's compare this to other controversial or mysterious coins. Take the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle, for example. Like the 1964D peace dollar, it was minted legally but never officially released. A few examples survived and became the subject of high-profile legal battles. One specimen was even sold at auction for over $7 million in 2002. In fact, in 2021, a specimen sold for over $18 million, setting a record. The saga of the 1933 double eagle parallels the story of the 1964D peace dollar, highlighting how government policy, public suspicion, and collector intrigue can combine to create numismatic legends. Then there's the 1943 copper Lincoln cent, another iconic rarity born of minting errors and wartime necessity. Intended to be struck in zinc-coated steel to save copper for the war effort, a few were accidentally minted in copper and released into circulation. These coins are among the most valuable and sought-after Lincoln cents today, with prices reaching over $1 million for high-grade examples. The 1969 S double-die Lincoln cent is another legendary rarity, featuring dramatic doubling of the obverse lettering. Like the 1964 D peace dollar, it stirs up excitement because of its mystery and scarcity. So, could any 1964 D peace dollars still exist? Let's talk about what we know and what we suspect. Officially, no examples are known to exist today. The Smithsonian Institution does not have one, nor does the American Numismatic Association. The Mint maintains that all were destroyed. But numismatics has shown us time and again that coins can and do survive under the most improbable circumstances. Mint workers have been known to liberate coins before destruction. Coins thought lost forever have surfaced in estate sales, old bank vaults, and forgotten collections. If even one 1964D peace dollar surfaced and was authenticated, it would instantly become one of the most valuable coins in American history. Why was the peace dollar chosen over the Morgan dollar in 1964? Many collectors might ask this, especially considering the immense popularity of the Morgan dollar series. Minted from 1878 to 1904, and again in 1921, the Morgan dollar remains one of the most collected coins in the United States. It features a bold profile of Lady Liberty on the obverse and a detailed eagle on the reverse. But the peace dollar, with its message of hope after World War I and modernist design, was likely chosen to reflect the values of the era. It represented a move toward a more contemporary image for American coinage. The 1964 D peace dollar is also part of a broader story about silver coinage in the United States. That same year, 1964, was the last year that dimes, quarters, and half dollars were made of 90% silver for general circulation. Starting in 1965, the Coinage Act removed silver from dimes and quarters entirely and reduced the silver content of half dollars to 40%, which continued until 1970. The 1964 Kennedy half dollar, the first to feature President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, was the last circulating half dollar struck in 90% silver. These shifts mark a turning point in United States coinage history. There's also the example of the 1974 aluminum Lincoln cent, a coin struck experimentally by the Mint to explore alternatives to copper during a time of rising metal prices. Like the 1964 D peace dollar, these coins were never officially released, and most were destroyed. A few are known to have survived, including one that became the subject of a legal battle between the Mint and a private individual. Again, we see a pattern. When coins are struck but never released, they gain an air of mystery and become the holy grails of the collecting world. Collectors today still fantasize about discovering a 1964 D peace dollar. Could one be hidden in an old mint bag, mistaken for a 1924 peace dollar? Could one be buried in a private collection, waiting to be identified? The odds are low, but not zero. History has shown us that amazing discoveries can and do happen. In the meantime, the legend of the 1964 peace dollar endures, captivating generations of collectors and inspiring stories of what might be. For those of us who are passionate about coins, the story of the 1964 peace dollar is more than just a tale of a lost coin. It's a window into a fascinating moment in the history of the United States, a time when coins weren't just money, but political statements, reflections of society, and works of art. The controversy surrounding this coin, its abrupt cancellation, and the ongoing rumors about its survival make it a symbol of the unknown, the forbidden, and the elusive. To wrap things up, if you're a collector, let the 1964 peace dollar be a reminder that even in a hobby that is all about precision, detail, and records, mystery still has a place. Whether or not one of these coins ever turns up, its legacy is secure. It stands alongside legends like the 1933 double eagle, the 1943 copper cent, and the 1974 aluminum cent as a coin that defies the rules, challenges the norm, and fuels our passion for collecting. We're exploring a coin that was short-lived but pivotal in the evolution of American small cents, the Flying Eagle cent. Though it was only minted for circulation in 1857 and 1858, its story is full of interesting twists, economic drama, and design transitions that shaped the future of United States coinage. Before the Flying Eagle cent, the United States had issued the large copper cents that many collectors today call large cents. These coins, first minted in 1793, were massive by today's standards. Measuring 27 to 29 millimeters in diameter, they were roughly the size of a modern half-dollar, and purely copper. Over time, the rising cost of copper, paired with practical complaints about the coin's size and weight, forced the mint to consider a change. Carrying large quantities of these coins was cumbersome, and by the early 1850s, public dissatisfaction had reached a boiling point. The economic environment of the early 1850s played a huge role in the development of the Flying Eagle cent. In 1851, the price of copper rose so high that it became unprofitable to produce large cents. By 1855, the cost of making the coin approached or even exceeded its face value. This mirrored what had happened earlier with silver coins, like in 1853, when the weight of dimes, quarters, and half-dollars was reduced to prevent hoarding and melting. With copper posing a similar issue, the United States Mint knew a redesign was necessary. Enter James B. Longecker, the chief engraver of the Mint, who was tasked with developing a smaller cent. The goal was to create a coin that would be easier to handle, cheaper to produce, and still distinctively American. What Longecker delivered was the now iconic Flying Eagle cent, which replaced the bulky large cent with a coin more in line with the modern cent's size and composition. The composition of the Flying Eagle cent was innovative for its time, 88% copper and 12% nickel, giving it a pale, almost yellowish hue compared to the earlier dark brown copper cents. It weighed 4.67 grams and measured 19 millimeters in diameter. Though similar in size to today's penny, the heavier alloy and slightly thicker profile gave it a more substantial feel in the hand. The obverse design featured a powerful eagle in mid-flight, inspired by a drawing of a bald eagle used by Christian Gobrecht on the Gobrecht dollar in the 1830s. This bold imagery gave the coin its name, the Flying Eagle cent. Surrounding the eagle were the words United States of America, while the reverse showcased a simple wreath design encircling the denomination, 1 cent. It was a clean and elegant design, yet it had its flaws. The Mint first struck Flying Eagle cents in 1856, but these were not officially released for circulation. Instead, they were presented to dignitaries, politicians, and collectors as pattern pieces to demonstrate the proposed new cent. Fewer than 2,056 Flying Eagle cents are believed to exist today, making them highly prized among collectors. If you ever come across one, it's worth a closer look, especially in higher grades. The first year of official circulation was 1857, and demand for the new small cent was enormous. The public was eager to trade in their bulky large cents and worn Spanish silver coins, which had still been circulating, for these shiny new coppers. In fact, The mint produced an estimated 17 million flying eagle cents in 1857 alone, a huge jump compared to earlier cent mintages. However, the design had some technical issues. The high-relief eagle on the obverse clashed with the reverse wreath, making the coin difficult to strike properly. Weak details were common, especially on the eagle's head and tail feathers. These striking problems, combined with the hard copper-nickel alloy, led to rapid die wear. By 1858, the mint began exploring alternatives to the eagle design. Despite the technical issues, flying eagle cents were produced again in 1858, with a few interesting varieties. The most famous of these are the large letters and small letters varieties. The difference lies in the size and spacing of the lettering on the obverse, United States of America. The large letters variety has wider spacing and slightly larger font, whereas the small letters variety is more compact. Collectors often seek both for a complete flying eagle set. Also notable in 1858 are transitional pieces that show the new design that would replace the flying eagle cent, the Indian head cent. A few pattern coins dated 1858 feature the familiar Indian head design, struck on the same copper-nickel planchets. These patterns are extremely rare and mark the transition to what would become one of the most beloved series in United States coinage. By 1859, the flying eagle cent was discontinued and replaced by the Indian head cent, which addressed many of the technical issues and continued in production for the next 50 years. But the flying eagle cent remains historically significant because it represented the first real move toward the modern small cent. It also introduced the copper-nickel alloy, which would be used in cents until 1864, when the coin returned to a bronze composition. Now, let's talk about collectability and value. As mentioned earlier, the 1856 Flying Eagle cent is the true key date of the series. With only a few pattern coins struck, its rarity drives high prices. Well-worn examples can still sell for several $1,000s, while uncirculated examples can bring in 5 figures or more at auction. The 1857 and 1858 issues are more accessible to collectors, but still carry value, especially in higher grades. Prices can range from around $30 to $50 for circulated examples, and several hundred or more for mint state coins. The large letters and small letters varieties from 1858 add another layer of interest for collectors, and can command premiums depending on rarity and condition. If you're putting together a United States small cent collection, the Flying Eagle cent is an essential component. It's short-lived, historically important, and visually distinctive, a coin that tells the story of American industrial growth, economic challenge, and evolving public needs. Plus, with only 3 main dates, 1856, 1857, and 1858, it's a manageable and rewarding series to complete, though the 1856 will be the biggest challenge by far. In recent years, the appeal of the Flying Eagle cent has only grown, thanks in part to the coin's crossover appeal. It draws in collectors of pattern coins, transitional designs, early mint history, and even Civil War-era coinage, since its production bridged the antebellum period leading up to the war. Other coins that tie into the Flying Eagle cent story include the Gobrecht dollar, which inspired the eagle design, and the Indian head cent, which succeeded it. The Indian head cent, introduced in 1859, featured a more practical and artistic design and lasted until 1909, when it was replaced by the Lincoln cent. These transitions illustrate the mint's continuous efforts to balance artistry, functionality, and economic realities. All lessons learned through the short-lived yet influential run of the Flying Eagle cent. To wrap up, the Flying Eagle cent is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coinage. Its creation was driven by economic necessity, its design marked a bold step forward, and its legacy lives on in every penny struck since. Whether you're a new collector or a seasoned numismatist, owning a Flying Eagle cent connects you to a pivotal moment in the monetary history of the United States. We're taking a journey into the legendary Carson City Mint, one of the most iconic and short-lived mints in the United States. From the Wild West roots of Nevada silver to the beautifully struck coins bearing the famous CC mint mark, this story is rich with drama, value, rarity, and history. So grab your magnifying glass and let's begin. The Carson City Mint holds a unique and treasured place in the world of American numismatics. Located in Carson City, Nevada, this mint was born from the explosive growth of silver mining in the region, particularly from the Comstock Lode. Now, if you're not familiar, the Comstock Lode was the first major silver discovery in the United States and was discovered in 1859. That single discovery would set off a chain of events that forever changed the American West and played a critical role in the expansion of the United States Mint. The Carson City Mint began operations in 1870, after years of demand by local miners and politicians who argued that it was both impractical and costly to ship raw silver all the way to San Francisco or Philadelphia for coinage. Congress finally approved a mint in Carson City in 1863, but due to construction delays and bureaucratic red tape, it didn't open its doors until January of 1870. Once opened, it operated sporadically until 1909, with a few interruptions. But during those relatively brief years, the Carson City Mint produced some of the most famous and collectible coins in the entire history of the United States. Let's begin with the most famous of them all, the Morgan silver dollar. The Morgan dollar is perhaps the most iconic silver coin in American numismatics. Designed by George T. Morgan and first struck in 1878, these coins were minted in multiple locations: Philadelphia, San Francisco, New Orleans, Denver, and of course, Carson City. The C.C. Morgan dollars are among the most sought after by collectors, not just because of their relative scarcity, but also due to their unique connection to the Old West. For example, the 1879 C.C. Morgan dollar is highly prized. It was one of the lowest mintage coins of the series, with only around 360,000 minted. That might sound like a lot, but many were melted down in the early 20th century, and finding one in high-grade condition is extremely difficult. Prices for well-preserved versions can reach into the thousands of dollars, and for high-end examples, even tens of thousands. Then you have the 1893 C.C. Morgan dollar, which marks the final year Carson City struck this legendary coin. With only 677,000 minted, it's another key date for serious collectors. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of Western history that connects you directly to saloons, railroads, and frontier towns. These coins saw real use, passed through real hands, and lived real stories. But the Morgan dollar was not the first coin to be minted in Carson City. In fact, the first coins struck in Carson City were the seeded Liberty dollars, halves, quarters, and dimes. These coins began production as soon as the mint opened in 1870. Let's take a closer look at some of the standout coins from this early era. One of the earliest and most coveted is the 1871 seeded Liberty dollar. With a mintage of just under 10,000, it's an incredibly rare coin today. The coin features Lady Liberty seated on a rock, holding a liberty pole, with a reverse eagle design that was common during the time. These dollars were minted in low quantities and circulated heavily in the West, making high-grade specimens exceptionally scarce. Another standout is the 1871 C.C. seeded Liberty dime. With just 20,000 produced, it's a true rarity. What makes these early Carson City dimes so fascinating is their survival rate. Most were worn down in daily commerce or lost to time. Finding one with sharp details and minimal wear is like striking gold. Then there are the Carson City trade dollars, another essential piece of numismatic history. The trade dollar was introduced in 1873 to facilitate commerce with China and the Far East. Because of the vast amount of silver coming from the Comstock Lode, the United States had ample supply to create these heavier coins, each containing slightly more silver than the standard dollar. Carson City struck trade dollars from 1873 to 1878, and some of these coins are extremely rare and valuable. The 1878 CC trade dollar, for example, has a mintage of only 13,000. Today, fewer than 1,000 are believed to exist in any grade. This coin is a holy grail for collectors, especially those seeking a complete Carson City collection. If you ever come across one, even in low grade, it's worth serious consideration. The Carson City Mint also produced some truly remarkable gold coins. These include half eagles, eagles, and double eagles, denominations of $5, $10, and $20 respectively. These coins were vital to commerce and banking during the 19th century and were struck using gold from both California and regional mines. One legendary piece is the 1879 cc $20 Liberty Head Double Eagle. With only about 10,000 minted and far fewer surviving, it's a crown jewel of American gold coinage. Double eagles from Carson City are particularly desirable because of their Western origin and limited mintage. Let's not forget the 1870 cc Liberty Head Half Eagle, the first year of issue for that denomination in Carson City. With only 7,000 minted, it's an essential piece for any serious collector. Holding one of these is like holding a piece of Nevada mining history in your palm. One unique aspect of the Carson City Mint is that it never operated continuously for long. Political pressures, economic shifts, and the changing needs of the United States economy meant that the mint saw periodic closures. It halted coinage operations in 1885, resumed briefly from 1889 to 1893, and then ceased coin production altogether. By 1909, the Carson City Mint was officially closed as a coining facility, and by 1933, it was converted into the Nevada State Museum. Today, visitors can walk the same floors where coin presses once clanged with the rhythm of silver and gold. The original coin press number 1 is still there, a beautiful, functional piece of history that occasionally gets fired up for special events. Part of what makes Carson City coins so special is the mystique. These are coins that circulated in saloons, mining camps, and dusty general stores. They were handed to bartenders, hidden in boots, and stashed away in saddlebags. And unlike coins from Philadelphia or San Francisco, many Carson City coins were struck in small numbers and used heavily, meaning far fewer survived in collectible condition. Take, for example, the 1881 cc Morgan dollar. It's a relatively low mintage issue, with just under 1 million produced. Yet many were stored in vaults and re-emerged during the General Services Administration, GSA, sales of the 1970s. That program released hordes of Carson City silver dollars that had been stored in government vaults, giving collectors access to original, uncirculated coins with stunning luster and historical packaging. These GSA hoard coins remain highly collectible today, especially when accompanied by their original boxes and certificates. It's not just the coin, it's the story and the presentation that adds to the value. Let's talk about values for a moment. Carson City coins, especially in high grades, can command astronomical prices. The 1893 cc Morgan dollar in mint state can sell for over $100,000. Even common dates like the 1884 cc Morgan dollar can fetch strong prices in MS 65 or higher. Grading plays a huge role in determining value, and coins with clear strikes, little wear, and bright luster are especially prized. The CC mint mark is a badge of honor. It means rarity, frontier history, and American craftsmanship. Whether it's a seated Liberty dime, a trade dollar, a Liberty Gold Eagle, or a Morgan Silver dollar, the presence of that little CC elevates the coin's importance dramatically. And then there's the thrill of the hunt. Collectors dream of completing a full set of Carson City Morgans, from 1878 to 1893. That's a 13-coin set, and each one tells its own story. Completing that set is no small feat, especially if you're aiming for higher grades. But even one Carson City coin in your collection brings a level of prestige and excitement that's hard to match. In recent years, demand for Carson City coins has only grown. The combination of their beauty, scarcity, and Old West legend appeals not just to coin collectors, but to history buffs, investors, and casual hobbyists alike. They're tangible artifacts from a time when Nevada was still wild, when stagecoaches carried bullion across desert roads, and when every coin mattered. So whether you're just starting your journey or you're already deep into the world of numismatics, the Carson City Mint represents a pinnacle of American coinage. It's a story of silver and gold, of grit and ingenuity, of politics and pioneers. And at BK Collectibles, we're here to celebrate every moment of that journey with you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Carson City Mint, make sure you're subscribed to BK Collectibles for more content like this. Hit that bell so you never miss an upload. And as always, keep collecting, keep learning, and keep the history alive, one coin at a time.